So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. It's a lot of things to talk about surrounding TBL Patriot games and WTBL tournament. It's a lot to talk about. It is a whole lot to get into. There's a whole lot to get into with it. Alright, so day one was Friday. Day one TBL Patriot games was Friday. Um, you know, things happen as far as like travel and something happened I think in Virginia, which made it that the day one started like mad late. But salute the TBL and everybody for keeping the fans updated via the Twitter page. So it was cool. I missed the initial live stream, but I was able to go back and watch the battles that they did show for Friday. Um, so the first battle for Friday ended up being Malpractice versus Winners. Malpractice versus Winners was a one rounder. It was a one rounder. Um, both of them had good material. Both of them had good material. I wish that was more than a one rounder though. After like hearing both of their rounds, I wish it was more than one round. Um, Malpractice had the Doug Williams bar. The I walked down in the Nike Tekken 993s just for checks and balances. I ain't gotta show you pussy. That's what the cat scan for. You try to go on tour with the saga. That nigga beat his meat and beat you, and you joined his crew. Yeah, that definitely got a reaction when Malpractice started talking about the saga. When he started talking about the saga and the whole porn situation, yeah, of course, the crowd reacted with that one. Um, it was expected though. Um, told my YNs 44 Magnum, fuck that bit, fuck that cougar. I still got dogs for Wednesday, Siberian. Those like bars that stuck out in Malpractice round. Winners had the Uncle Ruckus bar. My only competition is myself. I'm in a lane with me. He had like a shake shifter bar. Broke the whole pound down. Had the whole whole hood eating chicken nuggets. That got a reaction. Um, well put round for both Malpractice and Winners. Um, I had Malpractice 1-0. This was my what I want to say this is the second time I've seen Winners. Um, he can rap. Winners is nice. Um, I do look forward to what's next for him. Um, That was just like a sample size of seeing Winters and what he can do. You can't really judge too much with a one rounder. So, I like what I saw. That was a For me, that was a good way to start that night off. Um, like I said, I had malpractice 1-0. It was a good one rounder. From there, it went into Ace Jab versus Keith. I must say, this was a good back and forth battle. I didn't write down any bars for Ace Jab and Keith. Um, I had Keith 2-1. This probably was what it. This was probably the best I've seen Ace Jab. Um, he seemed very prepared, very comfortable. Up there, not rattled. The crowd was reacting at points, but not reacting at points. It seemed. Um, but he had moments. He had moments in this battle. Keys, Keys. He's from Denver, Colorado. They got a kick out of him saying he was from Denver, Colorado. And then Keith's whole slogan is, "How come I hopped out some pussy and then I had to rap about one?" There was HJAB had a whole thing about that, and HJAB mentioned about Keith bringing his kid and I guess the whoever he was dating to the battle. So he mentioned that also. Um, yeah, I had Keith 2-1. Ace Jab versus Keith is going to be a good back and forth battle with some replay, in my opinion. You know, um, I don't know if that battle didn't get a lot of reaction because people are not too familiar with both of them, possibly. Because H Jab's from Atlanta. He's part of Studio Gang. Um, he's one of the notable battles he's had. What he battled Loso. Keys wanted 10,000. As far as the tournament, he was part of RBE at one point. Um, he battled Rumnitty. Ace Jab mentioned about during the Rumnitty battle that um, Rum pulled his phone out on Keys. Um, yeah, it was a good battle. It was a good battle. I definitely look forward to what's next for Ace Jab and Keys. I think both have been making a name for themselves. They've definitely been making a name for themselves and putting in work. I can definitely say that's the case. They've been putting in work. Um, they definitely been putting in work. Um, it's just about elevating. I think both of them have been out enough time. I'd like to see them battle some of the other talent. Um, but like I said, Ace Jab versus Keys was a good battle. I had Keys 2-1. I think that battle has good replay value. Um, from there, it went into Shastafa versus Wordplay the Menace. Now, mind you, before this battle, like leading, I guess, some days or maybe weeks prior to the battle, um, or, or right, like very close to this battle, a wordplay lost, I believe, one of his grandparents. So, R.I.P. far as his loved one. Shastafa also mentioned his homie that introduced him to battle rap passed when the flyer dropped. So you had a moment of silence for both of them before the battle. Um, I commend them for being able to battle even with what's going on in your personal life. You know, I had Shastafa winning clear. I had Shastafa winning. Um, Wordplay ended up choking in the third. I think like when he had a third round that was like that was kind of like to the heart. So him trying to rap what he was trying to say, he was trying to compose himself to rap it. So it's understandable. I know the writing and the rapping, being like rapping is therapeutic, but it takes a lot to be able to go through something and still get up there and get the rounds off. I commend wordplay and Shastafa for getting up there and being able to perform and get the rounds off. You know, even though wordplay he choked in the third, for me I really don't care. Some things are big than battle rap. He didn't have to battle. He didn't have to battle, but he chose. He did. So it is what it is. Um, this probably was the best Shastafa I've seen. Hashtag respect the durag. Um, he's from Chicago. He's battled Best Superior. He's battled some other names. Uh, he's that this was a great showing for Shastafa. Especially if you were not familiar with him. He he had a dominant performance. He had a dominant performance. Shastafa's third also was sentimental. Both of them needed to vent with what they've been dealing with, and I can appreciate those third rounds. I can appreciate those third rounds. You know, Overall good battle. I had Shastafa winning. You know, I think it's a win-win situation. Seeing like even with the circumstances, them still being able to perform and do the battle. Um, and then the main event. The main event was KD versus TFE Jimbo. Um, I gave Jimbo the first. I gave KD the second and the third. Jimbo um, started choking and ended the round far as the third. Um, that's how that went. It was a cool battle. It was a cool battle. That's the best way I can put it. Um, I see a lot of people are like, a lot of people have a lot to say about the TFE Jimbo battle. Why, you know, why was this battle won? I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with the matchup. You know, Jimbo was Jimbo was doing good until his third, until he choked in the third. I think Jimbo was doing fine. If I'm gonna be honest, I think he was doing fine with it. Um, Megalodon versus Just Cuz, based off the stream, did not happen. Ben Superior and Lotto Lit didn't happen. I believe, now somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Ben had issues with travel. That's what it was. I think. I think that's what I saw. Um, so those were the only battles from day one that happened Friday. Now, when you get to Saturday, when you get to before Saturday before WTBL started, before WTBL started, they showed two free battles on TBL's YouTube channel. On their YouTube channel. Now, I don't know how many people saw it, you know, because I didn't see too many people talk about it. So, Black Ab and Moon, I had Moon 2-1, Moon 2-1. Um, like a lot of people were debating some of Black Ab, like the whole bar with the 8-ball jacket. I think it was or some 8-ball jacket. I see a lot of people had a lot to say about that. Like when I'm watching it and also checking out the comments, and it's like there's a lot of debate about that. And they call him Rod sad. I'm like, come on, bro. Y'all really are ragging on him for how he sounds, you know. I liked Black Ab's third. I did. I liked it. You know. You're not gonna please everybody with either one how you sound or two the material content that you put out. So to each their own with that one. That's just what it is. To each their own. Um. Then the second battle was LS versus Third Lane. I had LS 2-1, but they had a good battle. They had a good battle. That was a good showing for LS. You know, coming off of losing in the tournament to Caution 757, you know, I wanted to know what she was going to do next. And then to see that she ended up being on this. Like, LS has always been able to rap. So, you know, I think just being prepared and taking advantage of every opportunity that comes your way is just what it comes down to. That's really what it comes down to. Taking advantage of the opportunities. And I think in this case, as far as Patriot games, LS did just that. Um, and I think this was a good certain lane also. Um, Compared to, I want to say, the last one I saw with certainly, which was the Dion and Hennyman battle, where it seemed like he just wanted that to hurry up and be over with. Like he seemed, in battle rap mode. They had a good back and forth. Though, like I enjoyed their battle. Both of them had some moments during their battle. Um, I don't know what happened as far as Dreddy and COVID B. That I am not sure of. I didn't see anything, or if like I didn't see Dreddy tweet anything. So you know. Then we get into WTBL. So first battle for WTBL was Blue Cocaine versus Jay Gray. Um, I was hyped to see this battle, especially seeing how they were promoting and the dialogue they had back and forth on the timeline. So I really wanted to see what was going to be next. You know, Jay Gray went first. She had a bunch of blue bars in the first. Um, for me, it seemed like Blue Cocaine took this battle personal. You know, she was rapping like she took this battle personal. Um, I ain't like I didn't really too much quote too much as far as the first, but I had Blue Cocaine in the first. Jay Gray had the Nick Hefe Blue bar in the second. Um, Blue mentioned about her being her something about being the third as far as Jay Gray and Eon. Um, and then Blue had the only book was Coca only to book Coca was a judge. Only book I might have messed that up, but she had that in the second. You wanted to put on the show. Grief comes in stages. Blue had that in the third. Um, I had Blue in the first, Jay in the second, and I had Blue in the third. I think they had a good back and forth battle. They had a tense moment, but they were both able to remain professional and get through the battle. You know, I want to say at the end of the battle, Blue Cocaine, I think Jay Gray tried to hug her, because, sportsmanship after the battle. And Blue Cocaine was like, you going to apologize? And basically, I guess Jay Gray didn't apologize. So, they kind of went their separate ways. Um, I think they sold the battle. And, other than the tense moment, it was just battle rap. It didn't go left. It could have, but they stayed professional. They stayed professional, and that's the main thing. Um, Solid. rap good, look good, have an intense moment, but still remain professional. Um, they definitely did that. They definitely remained professional. Blue Cocaine didn't call anybody out. But she says she ain't scared of nobody. So I look forward to who's next for Blue Cocaine. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she said she's going on tour. So look out for that. Blue Cocaine got the theme song for WTBO too. Like Blue Cocaine makes fire music. Um, Blue Cocaine and J. Gray was a good battle. It was a good back and forth battle. You know, the fans are gonna love it. The fans are gonna enjoy the battle. That's how I feel about that. Next battle ended up being Dawn Lady versus Rainfire Moon, which was the battle I was intrigued for. You know, um, Rainfire Moon has a great pen. She does. She has a really good pen. She can put some shit together very well. Um, and Dawn Lady, when she's on it and prepared, she's one of those. She's who she is for a reason. Um, Rainfire Moon was talking about Daddy's home to start the first round. You bleed, I bleed, our period sinking. Those were like some of the bars that stuck out from Rainfire Moon first. Um, um, Don talked about she didn't get paid a lot for Rainfire Moon for the battle. Don choked in the first, so Rainfire Moon got the first. Um, Rainfire Moon had the 69 more reasons to flip than a Capricorn sign in the second. Don talked about the Tony Blanco fight to start the second, and her relationship and Rainfire Moon's relationship with Rock in the second. Don had the I'm still on Moon like Rick and Morty in the second. Don basically tried to put the ending of the rest of her first in with her second together to be the second round. That's basically what she ended up doing. Um, and then like Don would like interject when Rainfire Moon was rapping at points, and it kind of threw her off. You can tell it that she was trying to like pace it, remember it, to be able to get back into it. Um, I had Rainfire Moon the first. I gave Dawn the third, and whoever you gave the second, I need to hear the the second again. That's what I need to do. I need to hear the second round again. So I'm gonna say 2-1 either way as of now. J Love and A BZ, mind you, their battle had $500 on the floor. Whoever won. Um, ABZ talked about J Love and her 4-bar setups. Um, that was one of the things she mentioned in the first. J Love, fuck if you sleeping on me. She got into the whole thing with that. I believe that was those like things from the first. I had J Love in the first. Um, what else did I have? Um, ABZ had to choke out my mechanic. He told me to pump my brakes. I believe that was also in the second. Um, J Love also had the Rock Lee bar. The Rock Lee bar, I think, was either the first or the second. Um, Now, when we talk about the third round, ABZ talked about colorism and the color, like had a colorism angle in her third. Now, while that might have worked in a non tournament battle, it that might have actually worked and been more effective. But that having that type of round in a tournament and $10,000 is on the line, I don't know if I would have used that in a tournament. Like I see where she was going with it. Um, I don't know if she executed the colorism um angle in the third, how she wanted to execute it. Um, I had J Love. I had J Love winning. Um, J Love also mentioned about ABZ being in some shit because of the comment she made about Chrissy and Geechee. And, so it was a little back and forth about that. And ABZ, I guess, went to her Cash App the show that she donated to one either Chrissy Yamaguchi or Geechee. And you know, the whole thing with that being that, she Jayla's trying to rap and you're basically trying to trying to respond to what she's rapping. I think you should have just let her finish rapping, you know, instead of trying to, go through your phone and trying to show her and she's telling you basically, bitch, shut up, you know. But nonetheless, J Love and ABC was a good battle. J Love took home that 500. Um, from there we went into Marashan and Eon. Eon won clear. Eon won clear. Um, Marashan basically choked, messed up in her third, and Marasha was going at Jay Gray. So it's like you weren't even battling who you were battling. You were going at her girl, and it's like, oh, it's suspected. She's right there. You know, I guess, but Eon clear. Eon clear. Eon was in there moving, grooving, and couldn't nothing stop her from kicking Mirash's ass. Like nothing could stop Eon. Like, don't get me wrong, Marasha had some parts where she was funny, and that's about all it was giving. That's about all it was giving. No real bars, no real quotables, no moments, none of that. Um, then we got the battle I really wanted to see, which was Hope Trillian and Jade. Now, there's a few things surrounding this battle. Um, Jade had the girl bar in the first. Jade had the I got hope in the water. She baptized. Now, mind you, while Jade is rapping her first, Jade was coughing, and then eventually she had to go throw up. She got sick, but she came back to rap. She came back to rap. She was stumbling bad. I think she made it through the first, and then uh, yeah, I think she started. I think after the first that was it. Um, the battle didn't continue because she got sick the first time. Tried to come back and fight through it, and then she got sick again. Um, it sounded like Jay was sick prior to the battle. So salute to her for trying to be a warrior to even get up there and still try to rap. Hopefully at a later date in time, we can still get Hope Trilly versus Jade. I think that was a battle that a lot of the fans were looking forward to. Definitely a battle I think a lot of them were looking forward to. Um, and then the last battle was Mallory X versus Big Ice. Now, we heard the different things, when first found out that this battle was going to be in the DMV, a lot of chatter, a lot of conversations with the whole thing with it being in DMV and Mallory X being from the DMV. Cool, cool. Um, I if you ask me, it was a good battle. It was a good battle. I um I gave I edged Mile the first. Edged Mile the first. They was in there rapping though. Um During the second round, the power went out during Miles' round. She had to still be able to get back into it, you know, but she was able to get back into it. Um I gave Ice the second, and I gave Miles the third. So I had Mallory 2-1. I think they had a really good battle. I'm all for a trilogy at some point. I'm all for it. The first one was really good. This one was really good. So the trilogy is going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Now, since the battle has happened, there's been, some different things being said since this battle has happened. Um, I see people have an issue with the Mallory X getting a unanimous decision that she won. Um, I think to each their own with that one. I think the judges had a tough decision with how did they get to their conclusion. You know, we don't get to hear the deliberations of when they're talking about the battles and how they came to their conclusion, how they're coming to the end vote being whoever they're voting for. Like these are not things that we get to hear or see on the stream. So The unanimous decision was one thing. Um, People are saying that Big Ice got robbed. Um, I don't feel that she got robbed. I don't. I don't. I don't feel like she got robbed. You know. Um, I have yet to see or hear Big Ice say she got robbed. I hear other people saying that she got robbed. I have yet to see Big Ice say that. Like I saw Big Ice, congratulate Mallory X on winning, you know, because the reality of it is they are the future of female battle rap. They are. They're the future of it. And with how this is going, sets up for the trilogy. The third time's the charm. It's gonna be amazing. Um Now different I've seen some things on Twitter, you know, the whole thing with um Rita's comments, and Big Ice um responding to the comments. Um Basically Big Ice could have had a say in the judges being changed. That was brought up. Um you know, the whole unanimous decision part that has people feeling away because how people are like, if the battle was that good, how was it that not one of the judges had Big Ice? That I've seen people question that. That's why I say we don't get to hear the thought process and the arguments for why this person is winning, why they voted this person and not the opposing person. We don't see these things. We don't get to hear it because I'm pretty sure we would have loved to hear the argument with that. Like, what was the deciding factor for every last judge that Mallory X got it unanimously? I had my Mallory X 2-1. I did, but I'm not gonna act like Big Ice wasn't up there rapping her ass off. We not gonna act like that. Even though I had Mallory winning, it was a good battle. It was a good battle, And then I see people commenting. It seems like they haven't even watched the battle. How do you comment on something you haven't seen? You're just basically going off of what you see the timeline saying and want to be a part of the conversation. Um, to the people following along, you've seen the little back and forth kind of with Big Ice and Rita, based off of the comment that Rita made. You know, Big Ice is having a Spaces 7. I'm definitely going to tune in because you know, I want to hear Big Ice's perspective of everything since the battle is over. I haven't seen or heard Big Ice say anything negative about the battle, the judgment, the judges. Like I haven't seen her do any of the above. So that's why I say I'm going to tune in for her spaces tonight at 7 because I want to hear her speak for herself and not other people who try to speak for her. But do I feel as though she was robbed? No. I don't feel as though that was the case. And to put that, like, it's like people are trying to push that she was robbed. You're entitled to feel however you feel. But I don't know if I necessarily agree she was robbed. It was a good battle. It was a good battle. You know, Big Ice losing to Mallory right now. Mallory doesn't stop what what's going to be next for Big Ice. She's still going to continue to be booked and busy. She's still going to get certain plates. She's still going to get on spaces and pop her shit. She's still going to promote herself and the battles or anything else she has coming up. So I don't see like Big Ice being a sore loser about losing the battle. I don't see that. Big Ice doesn't give that. Like, that's why I say, like, when people want to say she got robbed, like, that's why do you feel she got robbed? How did she get robbed? And if you're just gonna go strictly with the judges, we heard who the judges were. The only thing would be to what was the deciding factor that all of them voted Mallory. That would be the only thing I would want to know. Nonetheless, Mallory X and Big Ice was a really good battle. Really good battle with a lot of replay value. With a lot of replay value. Mind you, Mallory X is doing this while being in two tournaments. She's doing this while being in two tournaments. Um, then we get into day two of Patriot games. Day two of Patriot games. Day two of Patriot games. So let's get into day two. I missed Bandit Montana and Her Life Veto. I missed the opening battle. From what I see on the timeline, it was a good battle. It was a good battle from what I see on the timeline. I really can't say because I didn't see it, but from just the different comments and everything I was seeing, you know, it seemed like it was a good battle. I'm upset I missed it. Um, First battle I was able to watch was Shuni the Rapper versus Cuban. Um, Shuni went first. She had the Where Happened to Virgil bar in the first. The Kills booked me to bring the um Shuni talked about Cuban saying that Kills booked him to bring the hoes out. You won't be able to get these hoes out. That was fire. Um Shuni had a solid first. Cuban had the four kids where where wherever you left them at until I go breezy on them. The Carissa Shields when she gon' realize you can't fight with a man. Um, he had the iPac bazookas, the Fetty Lonzo bar. Um, I gave Cuban the first. I gave Cuban the first. Then when we got into the second, Shuni rebutted to start off her second. She had the predictive type on the autocorrect, the QR code different. with another. She had a stumble. She had a stumble choke. She ended the round. She entered her second. Cuban had the Scottie Pippen barely mentioned I was a trailblazer. Um, Skate shoe. I brought the Vans out. The Master P. Why you do shoe like that? Um, this shit blew through shoe like Zion. So I had Cuban taking a second also. Then we get to the third. Shuni had more rebuttals to start third. She was talking about Cuban losing the Cuban losing his bitch angle, which heard we've heard it before. Um Shuni had the McDonald's CEO bar. Um Shuni that's kind of how Shuni ended off with the third. Um Cuban had the it was freestyle started his third, and the Hey Siri called bluff in the third. I had Cuban 2-1. I get Cuban round 1 and 2, and Shuni the third. Like Shuni had some really good material, but she wasn't clean. That's what it was. She wasn't clean. Then we got into Swervo versus Danny Myers. Yeah. Walk down. Walk down. Swervo has been kicking ass lately. Kicking ass. Swervo went first. Fuck, I look like calling him DM. The Tokyo Drift Bar. The Dandruff Bar. About to lose my mind. Bar. Um, the U Street Bar. Not the same. Great hoodie. It's essential. Um, Swerve. That Then Danny had the rebuttal on the Tokyo Drift Bar by Swerve to start his first. The Gran Turismo Bar. Um, sounding Swerve sounds like twerk. The 5.56 rounds. Case in point. The fuck Swerve. Who gonna handle your wheel? That was fire. I gave Swerve the first. I gave Swerve the first. And the second, Swerve was talking about how niggas talk about Danny's wife. I don't have to make up parallel lies. Using coke, you gotta watch her with a razor. The fuck you look like telling her you got rock. Um, Swerve was talking about Danny not meeting his twins, not being his twins' lives. He be wildin'. He literally met his daughter. He What was it? He literally went to the gates. Like something. Met his daughter at the gates like Kobe Bryant. Like that Kobe Bryant line by Swerve, the best bar of the weekend. Like the way they grabbed Swerve up after he had the Kobe Bryant bar, crazy, crazy. Um, Danny with the rebuttal to start his second. He was talking about Swerve bars versus Jay Moore, the John Wick bar, the Landover bar, the 450 bar, life in the trunk. Um, you know. And then the third round, Swerve had the life in the trunk watermark name on the pages. Whole shit was parallel universe. We kept the addicts upstairs. Danny had to ask him, what is Swerve doing in this region that's unique? Um, I had Swerve winning. I had Swerve winning. It was like Swerve knew what to talk about with Danny and how to perfectly set it up in his 3 rounds. Yeah, Danny had a U Street bar, but Swerve had already said it. And then rebutting basically the bars that Swerve said. Like the rebuttals, yeah, they were okay. Another great performance by Swervo. When y'all gonna realize he's really one of those. He's really one of those. Um, and then Av versus Jack Boy. Um, I think I quoted bars for like the first and the Jack Boy with the Av in the street, then Avalon, the Tinder, Tarbender, the No Diggity bar from Jack in the first. Av had to make sure all Doc niggas pay garnishment halfway prep for and you went to Doc to save you. You gonna need one to save your life. Av had the Fetro bar, the Solitaire bar, the Brorilla bar in the first. I had Av in the first. In the second, Jack had the asymmetrical bar. Can't stand the rain. I got trash bags. Um, I ain't quote nothing else after that. I had Av. Jack had some bars. He had some bars, you know, but it wasn't enough. Like how Av was back to back to back, like with it. So I had Av winning. The battle I really wanted to see. Chess versus drugs. Let's get into it. The whole controversy about the time limit, you know, because drugs mentioned he only signed for it to be 2 minutes. Chess says I'm about 2 minutes and 30. So drugs rap, but his rounds were shorter than chess. Chess rap longer. All 3 rounds. Like I had chess winning. Um, it seemed like chess was upset that drugs felt the need to mention about the whole time situation. Um, like drugs had good material, but the rounds were just shorter. You know, and the crazy part is, and if you watch drugs battles, he 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 um he reacts when it's I guess they're bars that he's repetitively heard. So there's that too. But I really like drugs. What round was it? I want to say it was the third, but I still had chess winning. I still had chess winning. Um, Another great showing from chess. You know, another great showing from chess. Um, the main event, Ill Will versus She happens. She got the first, Ill Will got the second, and Ill Will got the third. She choked in the third, but got it back, and then he still couldn't like get it together. You know, he's dealing with some things also. So salute to him to even be there to do the battle also. Um, but yeah, Ill Will 2-1. Second and third, she got the first. Even though she had some good shit in that third, but wasn't clean. And like he was apologizing for it. It's like for you to even attempt to battle with what you're dealing with was enough. It was enough. Um, New Jersey Twerk versus Murder didn't happen. Ace Amin versus Chef Trez didn't happen. I believe Chef Trez was sick. I think he was the one they said was sick. But overall, 3-day weekend full of great battles. Great battles. Great battles. Swervo got bar of the weekend with the Kobe Bryant joint. That's just what it was. That crazy. Salute the Kenny, Chilla, Kels, TFE Jumbo. Patriots games was crazy. WCBL was crazy. I look forward to what's next with y'all.